Coming up on this week's show, it's all about B2B marketing. Every year, B2Bmarketing.net publishes the Industry Trend Tracker, which is an in-depth look at what professionals within the industry are interested and closely concerned with. And closely following that is the preeminent B2B marketing event, Ignite. Joining me live from London will be the Editor-in-Chief, Joel Harrison, to talk in detail about the research and what's in store at Ignite. Hi, I'm James Rostance and welcome to the 414. Each week with some of the greatest and most interesting minds in marketing. So, B2Bmarketing.net is, as you'll know, the main resource for B2B marketers here in the UK. And every year they publish a piece of research which analyses in detail the trends which marketers rank as being the most important to themselves and to their clients. So, to cover that in more detail, live from London, welcome, Joel Harrison.
Hello.
So Joel, could you start by giving a bit of background as to how the research is carried out and what's significant about it?
So the research is significant because we think it's the most compelling and robust piece of research into the key trends that are happening in B2B marketing. It's a fast evolving market. Our audience is global, so we poll people on a global basis. And we're looking at what issues are really concerning them in terms of how they're conducting their marketing. So how we do it is pretty simple. It's an email online survey. We promote it by social as well, and we give people the chance to opt in and rate how compelling, how significant these various trends are to them. And if you can see the graphic in terms of the results, how we present it, we have different aspects to our audience. So we separate them into whether they're client side or in-house marketers working for a brand, or whether they work for an agency. And the idea is to compare and contrast different responses there. And as you can see from the graphic, mostly the trends are aligned, but there are some differences in terms of the levels of priorities. But it's useful. It's good to know that that clients or in-house marketers are on the same page as agencies. And as you can see, in terms of the priority that's been most prevalent in the last 12 months, bearing in mind this research was conducted towards the back end of last year, GDPR and data privacy was the hot topic. And that's not surprising given that we were still only about 6 months after the GDPR legislation was published in May. And marketers were only just getting their heads around what it meant for them. So they're still dealing with the repercussions of that. But there are lots more interesting findings from this report beyond just that.
Okay, so let's get the findings up on screen and could you talk me through them?
Okay, so as you can see on the left-hand side, this is the responses from the in-house marketers. And on the right-hand side, it's from the responses from the agency marketers. And it's designed to look a little bit like a human brain, and obviously we have a left and right split in our human brain with different hemispheres responsible for different facets of our behaviour, and this is designed to reflect that as well, looking at the different facets of marketing, the in-house marketers as opposed to the agency marketers. And what you can see on is that very strongly on the client side, data privacy came out as the number one topic. But in terms of other topics, CX, customer experience, is very strong as well, as was marketing automation, as was ABM and performance marketing. So those are the top 5 trends that we found on the client side, and that was generally reflected on the agency side. Although things like emotional engagement around content or just generally around marketing was particularly prevalent for the agencies, and that's not surprising given that that's essentially what agencies deliver. It's or at least a large proportion of them deliver its kind of creative type services. So generally aligned, but some very strong some core trends coming out there.
So what would you say then are the main takeaways of the research?
Well, what we can see from the research is that whilst GDPR and data privacy have been a hot topic in the last 12 months, we predict that this is actually going to continue to drop off in the next 12. And by the time we do this research again, probably in the next few months, probably 6 months' time, I would expect that we're expecting that CX, customer experience, will become the most preeminent topic. And that really that was the same last year. CX was at the top of the pile in terms of marketers' priorities. So customer experience really is absolutely fundamental to what success looks like in B2B. It's also interesting to note that marketing automation is still so strong in terms of the findings. Marketing automation as a technology has been around for 10 years now. There are a lot of vendors in that market, and they talk very loudly and very compellingly about it. But still, companies are struggling to make best use out of marketing automation to make it work in an optimized fashion for their marketing. And we still find a lot of companies haven't used it at all, or maybe they've bought it quite expensively sometimes, and it's failed. So it's still an incredibly compelling area. And then I think you can look at things like performance marketing, which was a new topic for us this year. That came through very strongly, and that reflects the interest in demonstrating effectiveness and, more importantly, showing ROI on marketing spend. And performance marketing is a new term which encompasses some existing activity, but it's really a philosophical shift in terms of how marketing is constructed and set up. So it's marking that trend, that gradual evolution and sophistication in terms of how marketers, how to B2B marketers at least, demonstrate ROI and improve the effectiveness of their marketing. And that can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, Ignite is your annual B2B marketing event, and that's coming up shortly. Could you share a little on who will be speaking?
So we've got our speaker list really reads like a who's who of B2B marketing top tier brands. We've got people like Accenture, O2, Autotrader, Atos, Deloitte, Fujitsu, SAP, Finastra, Thomson Reuters, Baker Tilly. And it's just to name just but a few of the people who are of the client side marketers who are coming to speak at this event. But we also, alongside those, we have a whole host of marketers who are probably from less well-known brands if you're operating in a particular vertical sector or niche. Some brands are really, really powerful in that area, but you may not know about them unless you were tied into a particular industry sector. And then we have a host of suppliers and agencies talking about some of the latest technologies and techniques and showing some excellent case studies in B2B. So, we have 8 streams of content. It's a very, very, it takes over two days. It's the 8th and 9th of July. The 8th is a training day, and that's about full day training workshops on particular topics. And the 9th is a really in-depth conference. 1,200 marketers will be there, 8 streams of content. All the most compelling areas, which reflecting what's gone on reflecting the results of the insight report that we did, the trend tracker. We have the streams include CX, they include marketing automation or marketing technology rather. We have one on insight as well, which obviously includes data, and we have things around brand and strategy. And engagement, which is a key issue as well, and leadership, which is a critical part of our audience. We're trying to help develop and engage the next level of leaders in B2B marketing and provide them with the stimulus and the inspiration they need to be better at marketing. So, we're positioning this as the day that you can't afford to miss. Well,
all right. Well, for the keynote speakers at the event, why did you choose them, and what will they be covering?
It's a good question. So we have a number of different keynotes. With the two most prevalent or prominent ones at the beginning and the end of the day, we have Rory Sutherland who's going to kick the day off. And he spoke last year. He is back by popular demand. We were overwhelmed with our response to him. And he's also got a new book out, which is delving into his chosen topic of behavioural science, behavioural economics. And it's really looking at how that discipline clashes with creative development, emotional engagement, and things like that. And Rory is a real tour de force in B2B. He's literally, or in marketing generally, he's literally a larger-than-life character. And he is a fantastic advocate and a great way to start our day. And then closing off our day, we have Doug Kessler from Velocity Partners. Doug, if you've ever seen him, is a creative director at Velocity who do some absolutely fantastic work. He's going to be talking about, the title of his presentation is Managing Your Bloody Stakeholders, which I think anyone in B2B marketing particularly can relate to. Stakeholder management is a critical thing, and to look at it from a creative point of view, how you can ensure that those people are aligned and they're working with you is a really key part. And Doug is always inspiring, engaging, and extremely humorous. So he's an American who's been through the nationalization process, and he's one of us now. So he's a great guy, and it will definitely be worth watching. And along the way, we're going to have Katie King who's written the preeminent book on AI and marketing. She's going to be talking about what B2B marketers need to know about AI right now. It's a very, very compelling topic at the moment. And then, last but absolutely not least, at B2B marketing, we're going to be presenting our latest landmark study on CX, because as our research again suggests, CX is a absolutely critical issue right now. And so we're doing some research currently into the state of CX, what you need to know to be better at it, and we're presenting the results of that at this event. So it's an absolutely packed agenda and some really fantastic content, and we really hope you can join us there.
Well, and finally, after having covered all of that, it's definitely worth a recap for the location, dates, as well as how to get tickets.
Okay, so the location is the Business Design Centre, which is in Islington in London, N1, near Angel Tube Station. The dates are the 8th and 9th of July. The 8th is a training day. The July is the full conference, and you can get day passes for those events, or you can come to both days. The first day is much more interactive, much more focused around a particular topic area. And how you can get tickets? Well, hopefully we can place a URL on this broadcast, but if not, if you just search for B2B Marketing Ignite, or go to b2bmarketing.net and look if you do /Ignite, you should get the page that's relevant there. You can buy them online, or if you want to give us a call, we'll happily sell you one over the phone.
Awesome. Joel, thank you ever so much for joining me today.
Absolutely welcome. It was great to be here.
And if you enjoyed watching and you'd like to learn more insights and wisdom from some of the greatest and most interesting minds in marketing every week, then please do subscribe now. You can subscribe via the iTunes app, the Apple Podcast app, or visit the414.net for all other subscription options. And as well as watching previous episodes. I'm James Rostance. Thank you for watching.